Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Today it is the 11th of July, 2022. And on today's show, the latest realignment news and also how a Champions League style college football system could benefit the Big 12 schools as we head towards conference realignment. So a whole lot to get to today. Hope you all enjoy.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, Josh Neighbors here, everybody, Locked On Big 12 podcast. We are glad that you are making us a part of your Monday. We are brought to you by LinkedIn, best place to find a job or find people for a job for your small business or big business, whatever it is. LinkedIn is the place to go. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We really did a great job with that. We're at 1,300 now. The goal is to get us to around 2K as we get to the college football season. I think we can do it. We've been on a big push recently, so keep telling your friends and keep subscribing to the channel. So I'd mentioned something last couple weeks and kind of talking about the idea of as we head towards a super league, right? Will college football suffer? Because if you take out a lot of interest, right? The big crux of the argument was this, and some of you all responded and said, I'm not watching. And I think it was a big question. If it's a 48 or 60 team super league and you're a fan of, for example, Kansas State, and Kansas State is not included, then why should you watch college football? Kind of one of the big points of college football. I'm a fan of, I went to Mizzou and I'm a fan of all the Big 12 schools as well. Well, I watch Alabama, this is good football, sure, yeah, but also because, hey, my team could be playing against those teams, right? Baylor got to play Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl, beat them. Oklahoma State got to play Notre Dame in a New Year's Six Fiesta Bowl, right? Beat them. If my team cannot end up playing those other teams, why should I really care about what happens to those other teams, right? If we can't play, if a Big Ten doesn't play in Oregon, if Oregon can't play Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, why should Oregon fans care about Ohio State? Just kind of the example there, especially when there is a better football alternative in the National Football League. Now, you might say, well, Josh, I like tradition and pageantry of college football. Well, sure, it's going away, though, right? We're taking that away and we're professionalizing the game. So if we're going to take two professional products, I'll take the older guys, I'll take the studs. And if my teams can't be involved, why should I care about college football? Sure, there's football on Saturdays and you might watch it, but I think there's a whole lot of people who won't be interested in a 40-team league, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, if you're an Iowa State fan. Why should Oklahoma State care if they're not at the table, right? It's a great day to sit down and watch, a bunch of FBS college football in a day, sure, but our schools are at the FBS level. That's why we care. That's why we watch. That's the same thing for basketball, too. We're not watching Division II basketball. We're not watching Division III basketball. We watch college basketball because our schools are involved. We watch the NBA. Hey, if your team's on the bubble and you're an Oklahoma fan and Wake Forest is right there in the bubble, Wake Forest is playing Duke on a Wednesday night, hey, you might flip over to see how Wake Forest is doing because you know what? That affects your team, right? That's kind of the big thing. Cincinnati just made the college football playoff, showing you that, yeah, Cincinnati can play in Alabama. Maybe the game against Alabama wasn't the most competitive, but there were competitive moments in that game, and they did a lot better than some teams do against Bama. And so the idea of us being able, of giving people hope, of being on not equal footing, but we are in the same sport. If you take that away, will we keep watching? Maybe we will because we are conditioned to in some ways, but there's definitely going to be some drop off. There's definitely going to be some drop off if not everybody is included. Not everybody has a seat at the table. Will it matter to TV execs? I don't know. But that's kind of what we've been talking about is, will people care? And I'd love to know, would you all care if we went to a super league? Now, obviously, if our teams are involved in a super league, we'll definitely care. I think the question I want to answer today is, if our teams have a chance to be involved in a super league, will we care? And let me set this up here. So for those of you who are not familiar, and I'm a pretty big soccer fan, all right? But if you're not familiar with my soccer fandom, you shouldn't be. But soccer in general is what I'm saying here. So the way European soccer works is they have what is called the Champions League. The Champions League, imagine this, is your NFL playoffs, all right, or college football playoffs, all right? At the end of the year, they select deserving teams from different conferences, right, or sometimes the same conference, to go to the college football playoff. In soccer, the way it works is they take the top teams from each league and they put them into what's called the Champions League. So at the end of this season, the end of the 21-22 soccer season, the top 4 teams in the English Premier League were Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham. Those 4 teams will next year go on to play in the Champions League. So on Tuesday nights, they'll be playing in what's called the Champions League. They'll be playing teams from Spain. They'll be playing teams from Germany. They'll be playing teams from France. And much like themselves, those teams also finished in the top 4. You also have your, just for example, a Portugal. They'd send all 4 of their top teams. The smaller countries like Sweden might send 2 or 1. All right, so you have essentially the top teams from all the European leagues playing together in a group stage, then knockout round format, and you earn entry into the Champions League by winning domestically. So what happened in soccer was last year somebody tried to start a Super League. Well, it got rejected because here's the thing. There's not much appetite for it. Why would we need a Super League where Chelsea plays Real Madrid and Barcelona and PSG, where you see, that's where Messi and Neymar and all those guys are, if you're not familiar with the teams. Manchester United, when we already get to see them play in the Champions League. Sure, teams like Manchester United will miss out from time to time, or often, depending on who they are. But generally speaking, the best do get to play the best in the Champions League. Rarely do we see weird matchups in the end. You'll see 2 teams in the same country meet in the end of the Champions League. So sometimes, for example, Liverpool will play Manchester City. Manchester City played Chelsea last year in the Champions League final, which is a matchup you already saw twice during the year in the domestic league. But you are going to, in college football this year, we had Georgia play Alabama. So while they were both in the college football playoff and played teams from different leagues to start off, they ultimately met. So that does happen there in the Champions League. Also, to take it a step further, these leagues have promotion relegation. So let me stop real fast. All right. So Champions League is where the top teams go. So for example, your Big 12 winner, your SEC winner, your Pac-12 winner, your Big 10 winner, your all those schools, if there was a Champions League, would go and play in the Champions League. Now, our Champions League would be a playoff. It would not be played the next year. It would be played at the end of a season, right? So what also they have in European soccer is promotion and relegation, all right? So at the end of the year, the bottom 3 teams in the Premier League, based off of points, and if it's tied, they use goal differential, which is a normal tiebreaker for them, will get sent down to the next league. They call it the Championship. They'll send the English Championship is the next league below the Premier League. Those 3 teams will go down. The top 2 finishers in the Championship will get to go up. Teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 play a 4-team playoff to decide the third team, I should say, that gets to go. So 1, 2 in the Championship automatically get to go up to the Premier League. All right. Now, teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 play a 4-team playoff. 3 plays the 6, 4 plays the 5. Then the winner of those games will play at the big stadium, Wembley Stadium, for a shot at going to the Premier League. The winner with that next team in the Premier League. I think this could work for college football. All right. I want you all to sit down and imagine this. All right. A 48-team Super League. All right. 48 teams, pick whatever you want, but I think 40 to 48 is kind of your magic number here. And, you could divide them up in either random. I mean, they do draws for the Champions League too. So that could be something that you do. You divide them up into groups of, let's just say 12 is a great way to do it. You have 48 teams. You put them in groups of 12. You play 11 games, much like the Premier League. Everybody plays everybody. You obviously, mix in home and away. And at the end, what you could do is, if you had 4 divisions of 12, you could take the top 2 teams from each of those divisions of 12, stick them in an 8-team playoff. The bottom teams, what you could have them do, let's just say the bottom 4 teams or the bottom 8 teams, So you take the bottom 2 out of each of those divisions of 12. You could put them in a playoff. All right. And you could put those teams basically playing for survival. Or if you want to take 4 teams and have them play for survival. So if you took one team from each of these divisions of 12, the losers of the first game would have to play again. The 2 winners would be safe. And then the losers would play, and whoever lost would get sent down. And then you could have leagues below that, maybe the Big 12 and the Pac-12, where you send teams up. So maybe if it was 4 divisions of 12 in a league of 48, all right, could you have a situation where, top 2 teams from let's just call it Big 10 West, Big 10 East, SEC East, SEC West, each of those sends 2 teams to the college football playoff, and those 8 will decide who our champion is. All right. And then the teams at the bottom, let's just say you take the 2s, the 2 from the Big 10 West, 2 from the Big 10 East, 2 from the SEC West, 2 from the SEC East, your last place finishers, and have them play games. And you could either have 4 teams get demoted, or you could have 2 teams get demoted and bring up 2 teams from let's just say the lower leagues. So or maybe have, I think actually 4 would end up being a pretty nice number, right? And in soccer, they don't even actually have to have, like in the Premier League. So I'll show you guys really fast here. Actually, I'll share my screen to make this example a bit more effective. I know it's convoluted, but I'm telling you guys, I think if we're going to end up doing it like this, this could definitely work. This is something that I'm 100% invested in. So Burnley, Watford, and Norwich City all finished in last place last year, in 18th, 19th, and 20th. Those 3 teams get relegated. They actually don't play any playoffs to get relegated. If you finish bottom 3, you get sent down. So maybe what we could do in this situation is we could have the last place team in the Big 10 East, the last place team in the Big 10 West, the last place team in the SEC East, the last place team in the SEC West, all automatically get sent down. There's no way they can come back up. And maybe what you do is you have the 4 teams that finished second to last, all play a playoff to see if 2 more teams get sent away or 1 more team gets sent away and sent down. And then what you could have at the lower levels, let's just say the Big 12 rather doesn't make the cut, and then the Pac-12 are together, and there's schools like Oregon State and Washington State, and you could have them play together against West Virginia, UCF, Houston, whatever it is. However you'd organize the lower levels, what you could do is you could take the top 2 finishers, get automatic qualification. The top 2 highest ranked teams out of the leftovers, or whatever you want to call them, automatic qualification. Teams 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5, and 6, much like the championship, could play a playoff to find more spots. And I'll tell you something, guys, those games do incredible numbers. They are great in England. Those survival games or get up to the next level games are gangbusters. They keep people interested. And what they do is, to kind of go back to the original conversation point, what they do is they give you a shot at playing with the big boys, right? And that's kind of what everybody wants here. We all want our chance to compete. I think for the sake of competition, like, it's not good if only 40 teams have a chance to win the college football playoff. Or to put it this way, the same 40 or 48 teams or whatever number it is have a chance to win it. If you give more people an opportunity to have a chance to compete for it, right? So just in a 10-year span, like, if it's the same 48 teams, I think viewership will drop. Now, will it drop in the places that matter the most? I mean, I don't know. Look, what if UCLA sucks one year? What if one of the big dogs really does suck one year? They get to, in college football now, they get to come back the next year. Well, what if there are more consequences to your actions? Now, the one thing we have to understand about this is financially, this is something that does put a big stranglehold on people. Go and watch the series on Netflix. It's very interesting. It's called Sunderland Till I Die. It explores a large football club, Sunderland. I would kind of almost liken them to maybe almost they're I'm trying to think of a traditional team that's maybe fallen. Maybe a Miami is maybe a good example for them. Maybe a team like a Miami. Maybe a team like I'm trying to find a really good example. I think Miami might be a good example. A lot of tradition. Used to be a big powerhouse. Nebraska is a great example of this. But then they got sent down. Not once, but twice. So they got relegated from one league, got sent down to the next league, and they really do talk about the financial strain on this. But if we're going to a professional model where this is all about, we are paying the kids. I'm not sure it's enough, but if we're all about making money, I can guarantee you that a Champions League style situation, a Premier League style situation, an English Championship style situation, where we are relegating teams, we are sending teams up. What that does is guarantee that everybody does have a chance. And I promise you, those games will deliver big moments. Go and watch on YouTube EFL playoff Watford. Incredible scenes of Watford blocking a goal, going down the other way and scoring to put themselves into the Premier League. It's worth millions of dollars. It gets you on the big stage. The TV execs love this. I mean, the American ones might not, but they love it in England. It's fantastic in England. These games are so compelling to watch, my friends. And so if you have a situation, hey, Kansas State is playing, I'm just telling you, Baylor or Cincinnati, or Iowa State's playing Cincinnati. Iowa State's playing Arizona State for a chance to get into the big leagues. West Virginia's playing Oklahoma State for a chance to get up and move yourself up, to get up to the next level and play and be in position to, play for a college football playoff and championship. I think that's going to be compelling. I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but the idea of being able to go up and down and actually cycle teams through, so Vanderbilt and maybe even my Missouri Tigers and, the South Carolina Gamecocks and schools like that can't just sit in the league and collect checks and suck. Rutgers just can't. Now, Rutgers is screwed because they're in a bad division, but they always, Maryland, they can't sit there, collect the check and suck. They don't get to do that. Other people who are more deserving of that shot will get that shot if you cycle these teams through. Now, I don't think this happens anytime soon. I think we're still dealing with realignment. It feels like it's going to happen. Oklahoma and Texas moved 1 year. USC and UCLA moved 1 year. Notre Dame moves the next year. And I think everybody kind of divides up, and then we have to figure out what happens to the playoff. And then I think everybody kind of comes to you have to figure out how it's going to go. So this might be something slow, but I think it's important to try to think of ideas where we don't shut off, there are 120 some FBS schools, 130, whatever it is, FBS schools. You don't want to cut off 90 schools from playing in the championship. Sure, Buffalo never had a shot before. And also to note in these lower leagues in this perfect world I have going on here, like Buffaloes and Ball States, those schools would be included. Those schools get a chance to play. Your CMU, Central Michigans of the world, your Fresno States, your Nevadas, your Boise's, San Diego States, your UNLVs, your UTSAs. Everybody gets a seat at this table. Sure, you might not be playing for a championship 1 year, but we're going to give you a chance to get into the league that does play for a championship. It's how English soccer works. Yes, when the rubber meets the road, does Fulham, who just get called up for winning the championship, will they have a great shot to beat Chelsea, Liverpool, City? No, but you know what? Leicester City did win a championship within the last 5 years. All right. Cincinnati went to a college football playoff. Okay. This is not some dreamland. Sure, at the end of the day, the best will be the best. Yes. But this is a way to ensure that kind of we get the games that we want to see. I mean, the TV execs might be like, oh no, USC got sent down. Tough. If a big brand like USC, Nebraska gets sent down, tough. I mean, I understand it's like, well, even if they suck, people still want to watch. That's great, but that's not a good product. I don't want to watch Nebraska play Oklahoma if my teams can't play Nebraska or Oklahoma. Why do I want to watch Nebraska get curb stomped by somebody? Well, once again, I know they lose games close, so excuse me, I'm sorry. Why do I want to watch Miami get curb stomped by Clemson if my team's got no shot to play either of those? Why should I care about Virginia versus Ohio State if my team doesn't have a shot to compete and play against those teams? We need to make sure we're giving more opportunity, not taking it away. And I can guarantee you, these games will still do good ratings. The games to go up, the games to move down will do monster ratings. They'll do, South Carolina versus, Indiana to stay up, to have a chance to stay in the big leagues. like that game is much more compelling than them playing in a 6-6 bowl game. And I guess the other thing you could do at the end of the year is for the schools that aren't playing in the college football playoff and they're not playing to stay up in the league, they could play your bowl games, right? So if Virginia Tech finishes third in the, if it's, SEC West, all right, and let's just say Penn State finishes third in the Big Ten West. I'm just totally giving hypothetical examples here. You could have those two schools meet in whatever bowl game you want to do. But obviously, like, we're heading in a certain direction. And so I think instead of just consolidating and being like, all right, we've got 42 teams, we've got 48 teams, like this is not implausible. You know why? Because we already see one country where you could say we're United States, we're different, but this is, soccer is the largest game globally, and the most popular league for that is the Premier League, and they do this. The most popular league, the best league, I should say, in the world is the English Premier League, and they do promotion and relegation, and they participate in the Champions League, which is ostensibly, the most, the Champions League final is on CBS here. So it's obviously a format that works. If you guys aren't familiar with Champions League football and the way it works, like, it is fantastic. It is really the best against the best. And also, guys, we had a team called Sheriff Tiraspol beat Real Madrid this year. All right. That is your App State beating Michigan. This would still produce those kinds of opportunities. Sure, it's not in the Champions League itself, but hey, what if UTSA runs that table like they did last year and gets a chance in a lower league playoff to get up to the big leagues, right? UTSA takes on Baylor for a shot to move up to the next league. How exciting is that, right? Baylor's played in big games. Baylor's won New Year's Six Bowls. Baylor's had multiple 10-win seasons. Baylor's won the Big 12 Conference. Baylor's beaten schools like Oklahoma and got Heisman Trophy winners. And here comes Jeff Traylor's UTSA with a chance to beat a Baylor or to beat a Kansas State, to beat an Iowa State. Matt Campbell's 9-3 Iowa State takes on 11-1 UTSA for a shot to move up and to get into the SEC East or SEC West. Sure, they might get their asses kicked next year, but like, how awesome is that? This is this can sound very liberal of me, but like, it's inclusive. But we're talking about football here. Like, your school should matter. All right. I know I'm getting passionate here, but your school should matter. And it's important that I think that there are ways that we can make money and make it all matter. That's what I'm saying here. And I would hate to see, the meaning, how meaningful Texas Tech games are at Jones AT&T Stadium to be brought down because of corporate greed. That's what this is, right? The television companies are facilitating these moves. All right. Think about it this way too. Like, the Big 12 is not their hands aren't clean of this. They went and pillaged 3 really good AAC schools, and the AAC had to pillage somebody else. Like, this is a chain reaction that's going to hurt lower schools. I'm just saying, I think there is a way to make sure everybody gets their shot. And honestly, we could tier this thing just like they tier English soccer. There is a first tier, Premier League. There is a second tier. There is a third tier. There is a fourth tier. If you wanted to make it to where, hey, UTSA plays Ball State in a game to make it to the second tier, which is where, Baylor and Kansas State and Iowa State are sitting. And that then propels them to a chance to go make it to the first tier. Like, this stuff, it's like program building. Like, you gotta take one step, right? You got to run before you can walk. You got to make League 2 before you can make League 1. This could work. I think this is a way that, sure, are the lower leagues television contracts not as good? Yes. Is it less competitive? Yeah, and yes, it can be. But if we're heading towards a space, friends, where everybody gets cut out, this is a way to make sure we still have compelling games with those who are not getting cut out that will allow them to, every game will feel huge, right? If you're in a system where teams can get called up, every game's going to feel big. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, right? We want that auto spot. We don't want to play in a playoff to get to go up to the big division. We want to make sure we get that auto spot. And look, Oklahoma State and Baylor might be included in this big new league. I think they should be. I think they deserve it. But, look, the Kansas States, the Iowa States of the world, the Texas Techs of the world, the Houstons of the world, are they getting that same respect that they should? No, they're not. In these conversations, we're not respecting them that way. This is my pitch, everybody. It really does stem from that original conversation of, will people care if it's only 40 teams, right? We have a professional football league. If you turn college football into a 40-team professional league where over half the country's teams are not included, but hey, we've got the LA market, we've got Seattle, we've got the Bay Area, we have got the big brands and everything. great. But like, there is still a large part of this country that loves college football, that watches every week. You know why? Because our teams are attached to it. Okay. Our teams can make it happen, right? If your team doesn't have a college basketball team, why do you care about college basketball? How many Butler fans do you know that are big college football fans, right? How many fans of Marquette love college football? No, what do they love? They probably like Packers football. They might be University of Wisconsin fans, right? But maybe that's not their school. They didn't pick University of. They're massive rivals in basketball. I doubt Marquette fans would even care or want Wisconsin. I actually knew a good buddy of mine, Connor Legore, in college. Big Marquette fan, hated Wisconsin, did not root for Wisconsin football. Can tell you that. Did not like Wisconsin football. So that's the thing, is like, there are very few people who are agnostic NFL fans, right? We have our team. So I watch the Giants play the Cowboys because I am a Washington football team fan, right? And I'll watch the big games 425, but like, you know, at that point, like, okay, if you don't care about an NFL team and you like the NFL, sure, good. If you don't care about a college team, are you going to watch college football too? You just have to be enough people there who just like football. No, the attachments are what keep us grounded to these things. Guys like Lamar Jackson going off and winning a Heisman Trophy, guys who can go and compete at that high, Robert Griffin III at Baylor, and Baylor's, a great example of this. Like, Baylor's a really good school in this hypothetical situation with a lot of good pedigree. Oklahoma State, I mean, a lot of fantastic players have played there. In the situation we're trending towards currently, those teams are left out. They should not be. And so this is a way to get everybody in line. So I want to know what your all's thoughts are on a promotion relegation. Sorry for getting a little passionate there, but I just hate to see the way things are trending. Every single day, it's a new rumor about, this conference X is trying to collect more teams. And, there a lot of them are not true at this point in time. But it feels like we do need to think about a model. And look, I mean, Greg Sankey read the article. He read the article about about what they do, or read the book about the Premier League, and was thinking about this. This stuff is on their minds. They can make it happen. I think it's just a matter of pitching this to the television folks. And look, there should be some familiarity with it. I mean, the folks at ESPN have on ESPN Plus the programming for the English Championship, for this, for these leagues, for this English football. NBC Sports Peacock has the Premier League. So it's not like this is foreign to them. Fox used to have a Champions League right. CBS has Champions League right. Right now they televise a lot of those games. So this is not totally foreign. This is something that could happen. I think it's something that we should consider. All right, quick word from our sponsors on today's show. We are brought to you by Built Bar. Go to built.com today. That is built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Today's show is also brought to you by LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn today. When you guys do, you guys can post your job for free. That's right, for free. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. You know that every single week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Today's show is also brought to you by BetOnline and BetOnline.net. BetOnline is the best place to get in on the action. Go to BetOnline today. You guys can place wagers on who will win the Big 12 conference, or who will win the Pac-12 conference, Big 10, all of those places. It's got a sleek interface. It's easy to use. Also, they've got odds for NASCAR, F1. Bet on Chase Elliott to beat out William Byron. Ross Chastain yesterday won the race. Did not like the way Ross Chastain was racing my guy Denny Hamlin. Anyway, bet online. You can bet on F1, where Charles Leclerc took home the title yesterday in Austria. All that stuff you guys can find Bet Online and betonline.net. All right, make sure you guys keep subscribing to the show. Appreciate you guys listening. This week we'll have some coverage of Big 12 Media Days as those kick off. I wanted to start off with some more realignment talk here today. Follow us on Twitter at LOBig12. Follow me at JoshNeighbors_. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.